So E3 has come and gone, so here's my thoughts on who, quote-unquote, won the conference between Microsoft and Sony. And of course, every time I do this, there's always a couple of people who are really confused. Like, how do you win E3? Do you get a trophy? No, you dipshit. I'm just letting you know who I think had the better show. And so this is just my opinion, and you shouldn't let one man's opinion hurt your feelings. So without further ado, here's my thoughts on the shows. And no, I didn't include Nintendo because they forfeited by default. So starting with Microsoft, and I'm not going to mention every single little minute detail about the shows. I'm just going to cover some of the bigger highlights. I thought Microsoft had sort of a rough week simply because pretty much everything had leaked before the show, and so there really weren't that many surprises that we hadn't already known about. We knew that there was going to be an Xbox Slim there, so that was shown off. You had almost all the games that you expect to be shown on stage. You had Gears of War 4, Halo Wars 2, State of Decay 2, Dead Rising 4. We finally got our first look at ReCore, some gameplay for that, which honestly didn't impress me. Scalebound got more of an in-depth look as far as that gameplay goes. And this is another game that the more I see of it, the less I'm impressed by it. I think I'm still going to pick it up because it has co-op built into it. I think it could be a good game. I think it has the potential there, but I'm not overly blown away by it. The two biggest games that I was surprised for actually from Microsoft was another one that I fully expected, Forza Horizon 3, which, of course, Horizon 2 was one of my favorite racing games this gen, so definitely looking forward to that. But I think the game that I'm most impressed with was probably Sea of Thieves, which I know everybody kept on bitching about the way that they showed it off and talking about the commentary from the people playing it, which I don't know, maybe I'm weird. I was actually paying attention to the gameplay, thinking about me and my buddies trolling people at sea and, being a pirate. And I think it looked really good. And all the reviews that I read from people who got to actually sit down and get a hands-on look with the game at E3, they all stepped away saying this is one of the best games here at the show. So it looks really good, and I think that's probably my favorite game that Microsoft showed off. Microsoft also announced a few new features which are pretty similar to what PlayStation recently announced with the clubs and groups and things like that. Of course, I'm a big fan of the Play Anywhere feature where you buy the game digitally from the Xbox or Windows Store and then you can turn around and play it on any Windows 10 device. But again, that was something we expected since we're already doing it pretty much with Quantum Break. And then you had Microsoft ending the show by revealing that a more powerful console is coming next year, which they intend to be the most powerful console on the market at the time, which again is something that we've been talking about for weeks. So, that's going to be a fun story to keep track with over the next year. But my question is, where the hell were all the new games? Like, where were the new IPs that we hadn't seen before or hadn't heard about? Almost all of these games that I just listed were shown last E3. And so, yes, Microsoft brought excitement with the hardware, but they didn't really bring the excitement with the games, in my opinion. Moving on to Sony, I thought Sony's best-looking game was the one that they started off the show with, God of War 3. I thought that looked really good, really impressed with that demo. It seemed like it could be an interesting story, and also the design was just really nice. Last Guardian finally got a release date after almost a decade of being teased at E3, which I think probably has to set some sort of record. Hero Zero Dawn got another lengthy demo, and I think this game looks all right. Nothing really that blows me away. I'm still, trying to figure out the story, why everything is kind of super high tech. You've got something on your head that can hack devices and things like that, but yet everybody's dressed like Neanderthals. I watched a really lengthy video of the gameplay. It seems like it would be a little bit repetitive. I don't know, so we're just going to have to wait and see more of that as it gets closer to launch. We got some gameplay for Detroit Become Human for those QuickTime event fans. Sort of looks like an Until Dawn story where your decisions actually could make a big difference this go around. So I personally liked Until Dawn, so I wouldn't write this game off. I liked how everybody was really excited for the Call of Duty trailer until they realized that it was Call of Duty. Like, if you go back and you watch the clip, everybody's kind of like, ooh, and then whenever it comes on that it's Call of Duty, everybody just shuts up. Like, you like Call of Duty until you realize that it's Call of Duty kind of sort of thing. You had lots of people excited for a new Crash Bandicoot game, but instead they got a remake that's going on there. They did have some VR thrown in, but I'm glad they didn't spend a whole lot of time on it. I still have yet to see any game, though, that has sold me on the idea that I need virtual reality right now. The Spider-Man game, now that looks like something that could be big, and Sony should definitely be leveraging some of their movie rights to put out games like this. So that gives them a huge advantage, I think. And so this game is one to definitely keep your eye on, I believe. Days Gone was a new IP. It was like a zombie apocalypse type thing, but honestly, it didn't look like really anything exciting. And from what I was reading, there were actually stories from people who were at E3 saying that people just didn't seem to be interested in the game even at the conference. And so these people were having to go out and yell to try to get people to come in to take a look at the behind-the-scenes look for this game. So not really sure how that's going to turn out. They also revealed that it doesn't have any multiplayer, which seems kind of odd because this seems like the type of game that would have multiplayer or co-op or something. So it's another non-multiplayer game. Stick it in there with Horizon Zero Dawn. And in fact, a lot of these games that were shown off didn't have any multiplayer. Now, I'm not saying that you have to have multiplayer in every single game, but I mean, for me, you know that I like my online gameplay. And then we had Kojima get up on stage and reveal his new game, Death Stranding. I was sort of laughing because I saw some people on Twitter saying, you know, they were literally crying at this reveal and they were just so excited about this. And I'm like, you know, were we watching the same thing? Like, I'm sorry, I just can't get excited over CGI trailers and games that we know nothing about, no gameplay whatsoever. So, I mean, great. It has the Walking Dead guy and multiple shots designed to hide his pecker. Good job. So, I do give Sony props for sticking with games this year. It was pretty much trailer after trailer from the beginning of the show after the first part of the orchestra. It was just all games without a whole lot of fluff in between. And there wasn't a whole lot of time devoted to indies as well, which I appreciate. I'm there to see the big games. Nothing against indie devs. So overall, you know, I'll be honest, I didn't think really any company had an epic show. I didn't think any company really blew it out of the water or had anything really mind-blowing. It was just okay. I'm really disappointed that Microsoft didn't show off anything really new. They did get some excitement building for their new hardware announcements. I do give them props for showing off games that at least have release dates. Sony, on the other hand, showed off a lot of games that just said in development. Like, we have no idea when these games are coming out. It could be next year, it could be 2 or 3 years down the road. And they sort of did the same thing last year. They didn't really tell you when these games are coming. They just said, here's games that are coming eventually. You know, greatness awaits sometime down the road for you. But, you know, as a gamer, I'm here for the games. So I got to give this year to Sony simply because they did show off some new IPs. They did show off more games. And overall, I just thought, you know, E3, even looking at all the different conferences put together, I just kind of thought that it was just like, meh, you know, it was okay. It wasn't great. It didn't suck, but it was just okay, I guess. There are a lot of games that I am excited for that were shown off from other conferences. You know, Battlefield 1, Dishonored 2. I'm actually excited for Watch Dogs 2. But again, nobody, as far as the conferences go, really, I think, just ran away with it. But sorry if this came across as sort of like a Debbie Downer type video. I did stop drinking Cokes recently, so this is the longest time that I've gone without one, so I probably am a little bit moodier. But overall, I mean, that's really what I thought of E3. So post your thoughts below. Who do you think won between Microsoft and Sony, and why? And did you think that they had great conferences? Or do you agree with me that it was just kind of meh? All right, that does it for me, the Red Dragon. I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.
Have you ever felt?
Are you listening? Damn.